Hey, this is for the parents, and as a school resource officer who is a parent myself, it's kind of one of those things where I can kind of see it from both sides. And I'm at an elementary school where it's kindergarten through 5th grade, and these kiddos come to school with the mindset that anything that they don't accomplish or whatever bad may happen to them during the course of the day, and I mean bad as far as not doing well on your homework or missing a question or getting called down for not sitting in your seat or whatever, those things get blamed on the teachers and the staff. And this is a daily basis. And, the kiddos at my elementary school, we have a lot that are special needs. We have, and it seems like those totals grow more every week. We get more and more kiddos. And I think it's because the staff at my school handles those situations very well. And so teachers or kiddos excel more in that environment. And so parents, if they have a chance to choose where they want to move to in the county, it seems like we're a popular destination. So, with that being said, you have a lot of kids that come to school and will not sit down, will not behave, will not keep their hands to themselves, will not stop talking, will not, just one thing after another. And when they get called down on it, it's like it never fails. The parent comes up there and wants to blame another kid, or wants to blame a teacher, or wants to blame whomever for calling down their kid. But what I want to stress to the parents, as an SRO and a parent, and now a grandparent, is make your kids accountable for what they're doing. It's not somebody else's fault when you mess up something, or you break something, or you get called down, or whatever. When I grew up, and I'm a Gen Xer, when I grew up, you were held accountable. And a lot of times right in front of the class with, as my civics teacher called it, old Baldy, he got it out that had holes drilled in it that whistled when they paddled you right in front of the class. Nowadays, these classrooms are being cleared out because you've got a kid in there throwing an absolute fit and flipping tables and breaking computers and all that kind of stuff. And all these other kids are traumatized by it because they don't know if little Johnny's going to go off on any given day, or every day of the week, or several times a day. So it affects them too. And so when they get called down and they have to go sit in the principal's office, or they have to walk laps at recess, or whatever, then you have a parent coming up there, that wants to blame everybody else for it. But they don't take into account that you have all these other kids that are affected by it as well. Yeah, your kid got called down because your kid did something wrong. And, maybe it is because a teacher was really laxed with them at first, and they thought they could just keep, getting more and more rope. And by the time they yanked that rope back, it was way out there, and the kid had already been doing, numerous different things that they shouldn't have. But I feel like at home is where it's going to start as far as their behaviors. Now, I know we have a lot of kids that are medicated, a lot of kids that need to be medicated or diagnosed with something so that they can get the proper help they need. But you have a lot of kids that know exactly what they're doing, and they just still choose to do it. And if they keep getting by with it, they continue doing it until they get called down or get in trouble or have to walk laps, and then the parent comes up there mad. And it's just a vicious cycle that just seems like it never ends. And it's like you can't convey to the parents enough that it all starts at home. It all starts with how you're raising them. And I know there's a lot of broken homes. There's a lot of grandparents watching kids. There's a lot of foster parents watching these, raising these kids. Any number of environments these kids are coming from. Some kids are living in, makeshift halfway houses or shelters. We get a lot of that up where I'm at too. And we try to take that into account. But you just, regardless of where they are coming from, the only way they're going to learn accountability is to be held accountable by the parents. And, when I was a trooper many moons ago working the road, and a parent would call on a given school morning and say, little Tommy or little Shelly is throwing a fit and I can't get them to get up and get ready for school, and by little Tommy or Shelly, I mean 15, 16 years old, and they've been allowed to act like this for so long that the parent doesn't have any control over them. My go-to line was, I can't fix in 15 minutes what it's taken you 15 years to let get this way. And it's kind of the same thing with this school. I can't fix in 5 minutes or 10 minutes what it's taken you 5 years or 10 years to allow to happen. And, your kid is just beyond control because you won't hold them accountable. They don't have to clean their room. They don't have to be off their devices when they're at home and all that. But at some point, the parent or guardian has to take some kind of responsibility. It cannot all be pushed onto the schools because we only have them at the schools for a short time. Then they're at home the other 2/3 of the day, in the weekends, and the breaks, and all that. And things just need to be laid out for the kids these days instead of, the punishment we would get when I was growing up. You knew it better not get back to your dad that you acted up in school, because punishment by the principal was the least of your worries. When you got home and you heard that belt rip through the loops on his work pants, and you knew that you potentially were going to get a whipping, or whatever term you want to call it, or pick a switch, as my grandma used to say. Those kids don't know anything about that these days, and so you have to hold them accountable in whatever way that you see fit. But there needs to be a consequence for the actions, and I can't convey that enough, because the teachers are trying their best to teach all the kids, not just have to focus on one kid in a room of 20 or 25 other kids or more in other schools. I'm at a small school, but you have to be part of the solution. And I guess that's just my message. I don't know why that was on my mind this morning, but anyway, I just want to give you my perspective from a 55-year-old parent slash step parent slash school resource officer. So take it for what it's worth.